Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today, just going over a couple of the new rules that have been previewed by GW about ninth edition, how that's going to affect us. So the first one is Big Guns Never Tire, which is going to be interesting. It certainly makes tanks a lot stronger. It means that we can't tag them so easily because they can still fire at us. So within engagement range, which is the new word for basically saying within 1 inch, I imagine there could be some alterations to what engagement range means with this. You can basically still fire your guns as a monster or a tank, which could be a little bit difficult for us because we don't really have that many monsters, tanks, that sort of thing. However, it does mean that there are going to be more tanks in the game, which, given that we're pretty good at dealing with these, I know I spoke about this with Wes as well, could actually be a very good thing for us, because if the meta changes and we have more monsters and more tanks basically coming into the meta, then we have the exact right equipment to be able to deal with this. So like our haywire cannons are obviously amazingly effective against tanks, and I am starting to think about fusion pistols a lot more simply to deal with the monsters. I think generally we're not going to be in a bad place if the meta becomes a little bit more elite, because we have exactly the right kind of tools to deal with that. Horde armies have actually traditionally been something that's been quite difficult for us, like a big horde of orcs or something. We have ways of dealing with them, but you know, if you've got, I don't know, 90 boys or something coming in and you've got your 5-man troops, it tends to be a little difficult. Even with a 12-man troop, it can be difficult unless you charge. So yes, I think generally the meta seems to be shifting in a way that could be quite positive for us, which I have kind of mentioned before. And on top of that, we've now looked at the new blast weapon rule, which is going to affect certain things. There's a lot of speculation as to what is actually going to receive blast as a rule within our codex. Blast weapon essentially means that you get a minimum of 3 shots against 6 to 11, is it? Or 6 to 10, and then from 11 plus, then you basically get the maximum number of shots instead of the randomized thing. It looks like grenades are probably going to get that, which would be quite nice for things like plasma grenades. I think plasma grenades are going to be really good. You might just have one of your troop always throwing a plasma grenade whenever possible. You know, I think that would be quite useful just to give us a little bit of a buff against hordes, although how many people are actually going to take large units now, that's sort of yet to be seen. And then it's difficult because obviously we have quite a few randomized shooting profiles. So the main one being the haywire cannon. I personally don't think this is going to get the blast special rule for a number of reasons. The main reason being that haywire itself is meant to be anti-tank, and I don't see it as a specialized anti-infantry weapon, which seems to be like the whole point of the blast, is that it's for specialized anti-infantry weapons. So I don't think we're going to get that on that, but I'm hoping that we at least get it on the dispersed profile for the Void Weaver. So instead of having our D6 shots, having, you know, hopefully minimum 3 shots against most units, having up to, you know, potentially 6 shots against larger units at that strength 4 minus 2 AP, would make Void Weavers certainly an interesting option. Now, it would definitely up their potential. I get the feeling that GW would be happy to do so because everyone's built Star Weavers for 8th edition, so in 9th edition, you know, it would play to their advantage essentially to make Void Weavers a little more effective and get people buying them. I have 3 built anyway, so I'm kind of going, you know, if we get that blast profile, I'll definitely try running them a couple of times. I think they could be a little bit more effective than before. Generally though, impressed with the changes. I think it's an interesting one. The other thing as well is that with those 2 rules, they don't work together. So if you have a blast weapon, then you cannot fire within engagement range, which makes a lot of sense. So I'm thinking a lot of these kind of turret weapons I'm not going to be able to do that, so that you don't have the kind of weird thing that we were talking about in the first episode of Encore, where you have like a battle cannon shooting at 90 degrees into like a troop directly in front of it and then not getting hurt itself. So that kind of, it makes sense of that rule. It makes a lot more sense now that we're looking at how this is starting to progress. We've also seen a little bit of info, not much more because they can't say much more, but from Tabletop Tactics and a few of the other guys who seem to be really impressed with this new edition, so I'm starting to get very excited about it. Having said that, I will be looking at starting to film proper bat reps in 9th edition. I might do one just to say goodbye to 8th edition as well, but stay tuned for those. Hopefully we're going to be able to start playing again from about mid-June, so I'll actually be able to get a few games in, and when that edition drops I'm going to be well behind it and testing it out, showing you guys how the Harlequins fare in the new edition. Thanks a lot guys, thanks for listening. I've been Kit, this has been Ghost of the Webway, and leave your comments as usual down below. What do you think is going to happen? How do you think it's going to affect our faction? Let me know, and I'll see you next time. Bye.